letting everybody know that there might be a momentary discomfort tonight.
And I will be a blight upon the land, and everything I touch will wither and die. In your face, Eric. I knew.
Okay. Whoa. What's going on here? Eric
Hey.
is out there, right? Are you talking about this Eric, Mr. Harbaugh?
I am talking with this Eric. This Eric. Okay. Eric. How dare you?
Uh-oh.
Last week, I will 100% admit when we were talking about this title. I think I remember what this episode is. I will be the first one to completely admit I forgot it was the Mr. Freeze episode of Batman
Me
Beyond.
Too. Totally
that completely did until I saw the thumbnail. I went, oh yeah, that episode. But if you go back to the end of last week's stream and like, isn't this the episode where Blight gets like fully revealed and like we get his name and all this? And Eric was like, no, it's not Blight. Bullshit. Did you watch the episode? Exactly what I said happened in this episode. I just forgot that Mr. Freeze was also in the episode, but the Blight part I nailed. So, in your face.
There it is. I like it. It happens. Sometimes you gotta you have those little wins, So
I watched the episode tonight and I was just like, fuck me, I was right.
You were right.
Yeah. I forgot the Mr. Freeze part. I know. Oh my God, Andre Browninger. Vindication.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much right there. But yes, guys, we are talking about Meltdown, which sees a familiar face return to the animated Batman work.
Interesting occurrence in Batman Beyond, something that the creators were very intentional about making sure that they didn't do. So it's an interesting episode. I'm really looking forward to talking about it tonight.
Yeah. Any idea why they were like, we could do a totally a thing here with Mr. Freeze? Was there any reason do you know of any reason why they were like, well, he can be alive, we'll just have his head? Because we saw that
there wasn't really a story as far as I'm aware about of why do a Mr. Freeze episode, even though I think we can both agree that when it came to Mr. Freeze's appearance in the final season of Batman the Animated Series and the new Batman Adventures, we weren't the biggest fans of Cold Comfort. It was not a great ending for Mr. Freeze. However, this episode is fabulous, and I think I said this years ago, because at this point we've been doing the show long enough that I can say years ago.
Wow.
I know, right? On the Blu-ray release for Sub-Zero, there was the special features on it was the Mr. Freeze saga, and they had in addition to the Sub-Zero movie, they had every Mr. Freeze episode, because if you count it, there were 3 episodes. There was only 3 Mr. Freeze episodes.
Crazy to think about.
Right. You had Heart of Ice, you had Deep Freeze, and you had Cold Comfort. Of course, Sub-Zero is there in between Deep Freeze and Cold Comfort, and then Meltdown and Batman Beyond. And that's the entirety of Mr. Freeze's appearances in the DCAU.
And so crazy, because when you hear his voice and his stories, like I said, Cold Comfort, weakest one of the bunch, but at the same time, Heart of Ice, I mean, that's
literally Emmy award winning.
Yes, it literally won an award.
I mean, it's
So the fact that they're like, well, I mean, let's have him return. We have an idea, and they probably went, we didn't want to do that, but that's a pretty cool idea, because it is a pretty cool idea. I'm just saying.
It is. And did you mean that as a pun, by the way? A cool idea?
I know what you're talking about, Scott. I don't do
You don't do
What are you talking about?
awful, terrible puns. Never,
No.
ever.
When it comes to Mr. Freeze, I leave that to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Oh, everybody chill out.
Yeah. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
You do a really good Arnold, by the way. I have
Yeah.
to
I've
give
worked
credit
on
for
it for years. Yeah. I
but
take
here's the thing. What I do remember Bruce Timm talking about was they wanted this to be Terry's show. And we've talked about this in the 3 episodes of Batman Beyond we've done so far, is that as close as they would go would just be they would have analogous villains that have a power set that you could associate with a classic Batman villain. We talked about that with Ink basically being, like his version of Clayface. But they wanted to make sure that they just didn't keep on doing fill in the blank beyond. They didn't want to keep on going back to Bruce's villains. They wanted Terry to have his own agency. They wanted Terry to have his own show. But I think, now this is me personally, with Freeze's condition, he could still be alive 50 years later, especially, the way he was left with cold comfort. But also, the episode wasn't really about Mr. Freeze being the bad guy. True. It really was, as I said last week, this is Blight's coming out party.
Yeah.
So, and it's a cool sort of villain versus anti-hero kind of situation where you have a cold villain fighting a radioactive villain. And I like the way they really used it. Like I said, because they name Blight in this episode. Terry encounters him as Blight, not knowing that it's actually, powers. So it's really, I think the episode does some really cool things. I honestly have some criticisms after watching it that I'll be interested to talk with you about that I was not expecting, but just once again, I always love rewatching these shows for the stream because it always gives me a chance to reevaluate how I feel about any particular episode, regardless of how I remember thinking about the episode, because those are two completely different things.
Oh yeah. That's what's so great about doing this. And when it comes to Mr. Freeze, one of the things that, the fact that he's always as much as it feels like he had such a big impact, and he did have a big impact
because because Paul Dini literally reinvented the character, and that reinvention has become the gold standard of not even the gold standard. It is what we think of when we think of Mr. Freeze, and that the name Victor Freeze, his wife Nora, all of that didn't exist until Paul Dini wrote Heart of Ice.
Yeah. And then the fact that it's like, there's always like a tragedy. There's always like something where it's like, you almost go, I sympathize with you, buddy. Because even in this episode, you go, God damn it. Okay, again,
he gets screwed in Cold Comfort. Cold Comfort. I think that's one of the downfalls of Cold Comfort.
It was a little too not. Yeah.
No, he was too bwahaha.
Yeah.
There wasn't, in Heart of Ice, he's going after the CEO of GothCorp because he's the guy who, caused the accident. Deep Freeze, you've got that Walt Disney wannabe who is just trying to, he wants what Freeze has without complete comprehension of what the consequences are. Sub-Zero, he's trying to do the right thing, but then, but that, it's that sort of the road to hell is paved with good intentions kind of deal. And that's why Cold Comfort sticks out like a sore thumb, because it's the one where he's not sympathetically bad.
Yeah.
He's just being bad.
Yeah,
and
just
it
for bad
cheapens
stuff.
the character in that episode.
Yeah.
But to your point, Meltdown redeems him in his final appearance, and it brings back that Victor phrase that you kind of go, yeah, you are getting fucked over, aren't you, buddy?
Yeah. You're like, God damn it, not again. But yeah, man. When I also want to say that the executive producer tonight is Rhea. Rhea, who of course we've seen.
Yay!
Yeah, she's the executive producer tonight. Sorry, I don't have the decal to
Rhea
show
needs
up.
decal. Rhea is just Rhea.
She's a glimmering. Was
Harpy?
it glimmering harpy? There he is. So so if she's out there, if she shows up, well, we'll commend her when she showed up in the Film Junkie Live. And love the fact that she was the executive producer. So again, thank you, Ray, of course, for supporting the channel. But right now we're going to be talking about this episode where it starts off where it's on a dock. We have a dock.
We have a dock, but there's snow on the dock. I thought that was I think that's a nice, subtle little, I guess, context clue to seasons. Like, when do we ever in Neo Gotham, like Neo Gotham does not seem like a, location where you'd expect it to snow. Like it just, you never see, notice how you never see snow in the future?
Yeah.
Unless it's like some sort of post-apocalyptic, nuclear winter. You don't you don't see
a lot of rain. You see a lot of rain, but not really a lot of snow.
Snow, right?
Yeah. I mean, you see like what the end of Blade Runner 2049. You see some snow, but for the most part, you see a lot of rain. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Including in Blade Runner. So,
yes. Exactly. So, I mean, there's times where, but I think I don't know. It's like, when it comes to something that's like that cyberpunky kind of city or something, you don't really see too much snow. You see rain is always very heavily used, but because I think it just seems like a little bit more, I don't know. There's something about the rain.
It's more dystopian.
Yeah, it's more dystopian because rain is it's just rain. Nobody likes the rain. I mean, people we like the rain, but you don't want to be out in the rain. But when it's snowing, there's something just kind of comforting about it where it's just like,
it's whimsical.
And like there's a sound to it. Like when it's raining, it's just when the snow, you have this. I don't know. There's something, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I think everybody kind of knows, you know what I'm talking about, where there's just something about, obviously I being in California, I don't witness a lot of snow. That's for damn sure. But the times that I have, it's just, there is something about it. The last time I was really in a snowy kind of place is when, for my brother's 40th birthday, we went to, what the fuck is that place called? I can't remember, but we went somewhere. It was in January. It was snowing. And I remember it wasn't snowing this morning, but it was just something nice where I was like, we all woke up. It was like a family thing. We had this cabin thing and it was great. And I remember just like pouring a cup of coffee. I'm like, I'm going to go outside. And then I just went outside. It was up in the mountains. And it was just like, you just have that noise that it feels like. I mean, it wasn't snowing at the time, like I said, but there was snow. It was cold. There's just a sound that just kind of just is comforting. Rain is good when you're inside and you can hear it. Fine, fun, cool. But you can't, but even if it was snowing outside, there is something just kind of nice about it. Everybody goes, oh my God. And you reach your hand out, you're like, but when it's raining, it sucks. Sorry.
That was a really interesting tangent for us. That's a different kind of tangent, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Want to give my thoughts about snow and rain.
Right. But on the Mr. Freeze episode, I'm surprised this has never come up before. Right. I'm glad to know more about you now, Dave. I feel deeper connected. It's so much.
That's what we do here, man.
What we do here now.
Our friendship continues to grow with our little tangents. That's how it is.
Scott. It really is. So Terry as Batman is clearly, I like the fact there's like a guy. I love how like his fingers have like everything. Like it's just like, so apparently he's got a Geiger counter, So I love that they're investigating industrialists who are dumping radioactive waste out into like the harbor, and he's clearly tracked down where it all goes down. It is funny though that when the truck shows up that you clearly know is carrying radioactive waste, why doesn't he turn on camouflage mode like immediately? It's like, come on, dude.
I think it's for us. It's for the audience. You have to show the costume. You have to do all that. It's only when it's like extremely relevant where he needs to do that.
You've also got to imagine that animating that, because remember, we're still in the days of animating that had to be like a son of a
yeah.
animate camouflage mode.
Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, so yeah, you see those canisters and everything, and then of course he does his thing where he starts, taking some people out, and then he hooks up the truck that was there and hooks it up to like there's like the like that, like a metal cable, and he hooks it up when they try to get away, and then of course it rips like the axle or the axle off of like part of the truck. And I love the fact that when he when he's like he grabs like the main dude who of course is like handling the whole thing, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna just punch you in the face. Yes. But then he stops himself, and then he sees the phone, and he goes, oh, okay. And then he just throws him. He grabs the phone and just throws him. It was just kind of cool to be like, okay, because he was like, I'm gonna freaking just knock you out right now. But then he saw the phone, he went, oh, okay, that might help. And then he just tosses him aside.
But it's also fun because the guy wasn't intimidated by getting the crap beat out of him. No. So I appreciate Terry going, well, screw that. I don't have to beat you up.
Yeah.
Here's your phone.
Because he literally like stopped. I had to rewind it because even like his face is kind of funny because he's just like, and then he just goes, huh. I'm gonna grab that. Like his mouth kind of goes, and his eyes are like, oh, there's something right there. And then he grabs it and just tosses him aside. And then it's kind of funny too, because we're in, the future, but of course this is the future as represented in the late 90s. So
in 1999.
Yes. Right. So cell phones were not the cell phones that, of course,
it still looks like a Motorola Razor.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's a total flip phone. And he hits something on there, and who does he call? Oh, Mr. Powers, who is, of course, having a business meeting where the people he's having a business meeting with are very not ready for the questions and ready for the things that they should be putting forth to him.
Well, no, it's not the questions. He's buying them out.
Yes, he's buying them out. Yeah.
He's acquiring another company, and basically he's like, these are the terms. Accept them. And then his phone rings, and I love Terry being like, "It's amazing the people that people put on their speed dial," which was I know, right? Which of course is really funny to me because that story just came out about Gavin Newsom sending cell phones to like all these businesses in California with his direct line programmed into it, and there's a little part of me that's just kind of like, okay, this is very timely, right?
That is pretty timely. I didn't hear about that. That's funny.
Oh yeah. Gavin Newsom is trying to like inspire businesses in California, trying to stop the bleeding out of the state. So he actually paid money to have cell phones sent to all of these CEOs with his phone number programmed into the phones.
Meanwhile, all of them are going like, "Hey, can you just run the state instead of starting a podcast?" Yes. But hey, whatever. He's got time to do a podcast, apparently. So, and that's very strange. That's the governor of California, everybody. Anyways, but yeah. So yeah, he says speed dial, which is I know exactly what you're doing right now. Oh man, I saw somebody making fun of that. Anyways, no, but yeah. So he says like it's amazing how people put in their speed dial. So obviously, Batman, he knows like, oh shit, look who is running this little operation right here. So and then naturally, Powers gets upset, so that causes heat and causes his skin around his eyes to start, flaking off. And
which is cool because we just saw this in the Ink episode.
Yeah.
When, he, his emotional state causes him to have these flare-ups, and it just eats through the artificial skin that they've been putting on him, so he doesn't look like Dr. Phosphorus the entire time. And I like the continuation of that. I also love, as a writing tool, how it motivates. Like, it's a motivation for him.
Yeah.
Actually, because it's the concept was introduced in Ink, and then it's just kind of when he gets angry, he flares up. But then they continue that into this episode, and then it becomes the entire inciting incident to cause the whole Mr. Freeze element to come in, because he goes back to his techs and his doctors, and he's like, the skin doesn't even last a day anymore. Like, he can't even make it through one day without the skin falling apart. Of course, I love the reaction when he puts on the glasses and he turns around, because he was hardlining these guys, and he was like, no, you walk away from the table, the offer expires.
Yeah, because they were tired. They were like, hey, they want to go back to their hotel rooms and just kind of relax for a bit. But then, of course, when all that stuff happened, he's like, hey, yeah, maybe we should just take a breather.
And Sherman Howard's delivery, I like, gentlemen, the hour is ungodly. Maybe we should reconvene when we are more refreshed. And he just walks out of the room, and
with sunglasses on.
With sunglasses on in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And it's just such a great line delivery. And then he just rants and raves. It's funny because it's animated, but could you imagine the live action version where he is literally just ripping the skin off of his face and arms? I mean, they luckily animated it it almost feels more like he's ripping paper off. I'm not sure if you noticed that, but they make sure that the texture of the skin is not graphic or disturbing as he's just tearing it off his body. It doesn't pull, it doesn't stretch, it doesn't snap, it crinkles like it's like leaves or dry paper. And I think that makes it not as horrific if you actually stop and think about what he's doing.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you've seen many times when it comes to something like that. I mean, where like if you're pulling skin off and it stretches, it just adds a layer of
yes,
because skin does do that. But if you make it where it's just just tear like it's paper, that softens the blow. And I'm kind of wondering, I'm wondering, like, when it comes to something like that, standards and practices, right? Something like that, where they were like going, if you're gonna do anything like that, don't make it look like it's actual skin, because that's where it gets a little too graphic. Where
it also kind of works if you think about the fact that Powers is, he's radioactive, so it's almost like his skin is flaking off like it's a really bad sunburn.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I had that was literally one of those in the moment ding. Like, I just had one that's like,
wait a minute, a sunburn, like when you're flaking off like that.
Yeah. Except for it's the entire skin that's flaking off.
Yeah. Because I mean, they basically say like, hey, it's like you're running hotter than normal. Sorry, buddy. And it's like that there's only so much you could do. And then we get introduced to Dr. Stephanie Lake.
Yep, voice you should know.
Oh shit. I was worried about this because I don't know.
It's Linda Hamilton.
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yes.
How did I not know? Oh, man. The mother of the future, for fuck's sake.
I know, and this isn't even her first appearance. Like, I think she was
No,
in a what is she
she
in
was
a
in another
Superman
one.
episode
I
or
think so. She
some?
was in something else that we talked about.
I know because
Oh,
I love dropping that on you when that happened.
oh, I should, God damn it. I'm disappointed because, love her, of course,
Twice.
God damn it.
Yeah.
It happens. But, okay. So there we go. Linda Hamilton playing Stephanie Lake. But then, of course, she comes in. She's just like, hey, hey, we can give you a new body, blah, blah, blah. I think one of the things about this episode is like, man, as soon as like this part, from this point on, man, does it move so quickly.
Thank you. That was actually the criticism.
Yes.
That I had was
figured that was going to be the
way
case.
too fast. There actually is a portion that I feel like moves when Victor wakes up in his new body.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, it slowed down a little bit, but like from this moment to Victor having a new body, that moved super fast. This felt like another one of those episodes, like I've said before, where we know about the 22 minutes, but dude, this feels like this could have been like this would have justified a two-parter.
Oh,
like,
totally. Because as soon as like when she talks about the new body and blah blah blah, and then she says like, okay, we have somebody we could test it on, and then immediately it's just like open up, and then of course we see Freeze, we see his head in the jar, kind of, or in his helmet, kind of thing, and then it's just like, okay, yeah, here we go, we're gonna do this, and then immediately it's just like, boom, we're doing this. It's gonna be a moment of momentary discomfort, which is like the running joke of the whole thing, and then all of a sudden he just wakes up. And then he's like in his brand new body, and it's like, oh, and then he gets out of bed, and then like, oh, maybe he shouldn't get out. No, let him do it. And then he walks up to the window, and of course it's snowing, and he feels the cold. He's, oh, it's cold. And then it's just like, next thing, and all of a sudden there's like a cat that's about to jump on the tracks in the subway, and Victor's there to save the cat. And they're like, oh, look at you, you're a heart.
It's just it's a wrecking ball for
It just goes and goes and goes. And they were like, we have to show that Victor is a kind person, which we know deep down that he is for sure. He's not like the villain that some people will make him out to be. It's not the cold comfort type of ha 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 ha. He is a genuinely good person, and they
which is really cool because they juxtapose that with Bruce just being like, something's wrong.
Something's wrong here.
He has no faith in Victor whatsoever. I mean, we used to talk about in Batman the Animated Series how this version of Bruce has a heart. He looks for the redemption in certain characters. Not every villain was a lost cause. Well, I mean, we look at like Double... the Two-Face episode that I am blanking on the name of, but the one where he's trying to help him get the surgery to fix his face.
Oh shit!
No, right. And I'm blanking on. I think Double is in the title because why not? Two-Face episode. But this is a Bruce that is like, whatever's happened. I mean, we know it's happened because we've seen all the episodes. But at the time, if you're just watching this live, like, what has happened in his life that now he's like, no, fuck it.
Yeah, I know. He's learned so, and he knows that anytime he's dealt with Freeze, that there's something, and he probably already, he was probably already going like, how is he's back? He's doing this. Obviously, when Terry is, getting out of school and he's with Dana, and I love how Dana, like, he's just like, hey, you want to go get a fizz? And she's like, well, I would like to, but you have to work, because she sees Bruce just standing there,
with Ace. I love it.
And then she's like, yeah, you got to work. She's already privy to like, yeah, my boyfriend, he's on call all the time when it comes to his employer. So, and then of course shows him the video of Powers talking about Victor Freeze and doing all that stuff and saying like, oh yeah, he's gonna be this, he's gonna be that, and then Bruce is just going, something doesn't smell right, and then of course he's like, obviously he just doesn't. Bruce just has trusting issues, of course, and anytime he's dealt with Freeze, even though he knows that, oh yeah, I know this guy means well, but there's always somebody fucking with him. There's always something. And then when
there really is, and we don't, no one within the right mind would trust Powers.
No.
So it's guilt by association. Granted, Freeze has got his own history, but you compound that with the fact that Powers is responsible for him being in this new body. And it's just like, yeah, this is not going to end well. There's just no way.
He just doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't trust either one of them. And even Terry says like, "Who do you?" And and then of course we get that montage of like, "Oh yeah, he's doing good." And then of course we get them, But then of course Bruce is like, "Hey, you got to follow Freeze because this shit's gonna go bad." And he knew it. He knew it. He predicted the future essentially. And then of course they go to the cemetery, and they visit him and Stephanie visit his own grave, which is kind of interesting. It was a cool little like part because you're like,
I love that they buried the head.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool because the head is still there. They cloned him a new body.
Yeah.
But the head, where the original brain scan came from, was still there. And so the idea is we're going to bury the.
And he appreciated that.
I know, right?
He appreciated that. But I mean, that's the thing is like this, whatever technology they're doing, which they're testing him on, which is going to be for Powers, is the fact that it's like, oh yeah, they just took, they basically downloaded his brain and they're like, yeah, let's put it into another body and like, let's hope for the best. Naturally, of course, it's not going to end up being like that. But, and then of course we have some dude that just shows up all decked out and, futuristic sniper kind of gear, and he's like, hey, I'm just gonna shoot this dude. And luckily Terry was there, Batman was there to intervene, as he does.
Batman intervenes. He intervene. And then we find out that he was some random victim that lost his family in some nondescript way, because we're not going to go into those kind of details. We just need to know that Freeze cost him everything, whatever that entailed.
And which makes sense, which is pretty cool story element too, with the fact that it's like, that just shows the impact that he has had previously, even though you sympathize of why he's doing this, because he's got revenge on the people who've wronged him. But then of course there's collateral damage, and this person was that.
Yes. And you got to think that this is a guy who, I mean, it's been over 50 years.
He had to be young.
He had to be young.
He had to be super young, maybe even like a, teenager, possibly. I don't know. Or in his early 20s. I don't know.
Maybe his early 20s,
Yeah. Because he was pretty old.
He was old.
Pretty old looking. He was,
He had the beer belly.
He was not in shape. And
he was not in shape, no. So... But once again, I think the beauty of the way this episode, while it moves way too damn fast.
Yes, it does.
It is beautiful to see that Victor is touched by this moment and realizes, I hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I need to do right by them.
And it's kind of, I'm sure... I mean, if you're like, you want to get really deep, I'm sure it's like Victor wouldn't expect that being 50 years in the future, like there was somebody that literally just tried to kill me right now from something I did over 50 years ago.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah.
I know. And then he does that interview where he talks about how his legitimate earnings when he was working for Goth Corp, were put in a blind trust. And so it's just been, compounded interest and just he's got a fortune now that he can use as a as a slush fund.
The Nora Freeze Foundation, is that what he called it, or the fund?
Yes, he named after his former, and he does say his former wife.
Yes,
because that kind of goes back to Cold Comfort, where she, after she was cured, she waited. Victor never came back, and she got remarried.
Yeah. So poor guy, but at the same time, it almost seems like he was finding new love with Stephanie.
Well, Stephanie, Stephanie is an interesting character. I'm gonna put a pause on the walkthrough, because Stephanie is an interesting stock character in a way that we've seen repeatedly thus far in the DCAU.
Mm-hmm.
They often have and it's usually the female. It's usually a female doctor who comes out of nowhere, is not high up in the food chain of whatever organization that she is in. She proposes some sort of radical idea to help her employer, and it usually involves bringing someone else in. I think about the doctor who's helping out Clayface in Mudslide. I can think about Harley and helping out the Joker. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but I think if you go through mainly Batman, the animated series, that is kind of a stock character. That's a trope they go back to over and over again, where
those damn she devils, man.
The damn she devils that use someone to, and sometimes they actually care. Like the doctor in Mudslide, she actually cared for Matt.
She did.
She wanted to heal Matt so he wouldn't be, melty Clayface anymore. She actually cared. But then you also get someone like Candace. There was a lot. There was parts.
Candace, goddamn Candace. Yeah,
Candace, because the way that Stephanie sort of twists Victor kind of reminds me of like Candace in the Bane episode.
Yeah.
So
kind of like oh yeah, I'm gonna be I'm sympathetic and everything's gonna be okay, but then I'm working for Powers, and then when we get to the obviously when Victor is on that set, he's feeling a little hot, and he goes outside. He's starting to sweat. He's taking off his jacket. He's taking off his outer shirt because it is winter. It's cold. And then he's just sweating, sits on a bench, and he's sweating, and it starts snowing. And it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Why is it snowing? And I feel like it's like 90 degrees outside.
Exactly. So then, of course, then we get Stephanie going like, oh, yeah, he's reverting.
It's a really interesting term she used. She said there must be some sort of mnemonic DNA error or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mnemonic. So literally, his DNA, because mnemonic means remembering, like it's a memory device. So it's like his DNA remembers the way it thinks it should react. Like Victor's new body does not have the results of the accident that turned him into Mr. Freeze, but it's like his DNA remembers, this is how I'm supposed to react in this situation, because that's the whole point, is that the experiment is to clone a new body to erase systemic DNA corruption. The accident corrupted Victor's DNA to where he has to be in sub-zero temperatures to survive. Powers' DNA has been systematically corrupted based on the virus mixed with the radiation that they used to treat the virus, and so it's just showing that his condition somehow is coming back even in a brand new body. And once again, they just kind of like they throw a fancy word like mnemonic and we wave our hand over it and go, oh, he's just going to become Mr. Freeze again. That's basically
we know what's happening. We know what's going on. But then, of course, like the whole idea was like, oh, if you could do like a biopsy of his organs.
Right now in this state to figure out
Yeah.
what's going wrong. And then she just
Yeah.
like locks the door and cranks up the thermostat.
Oh man, so evil. And then of course, but then it's like, oh, well, he's, I guess, got some of that strength that he had before, and he just chucks that fucking.
Okay, but that doesn't make any sense because the
Yeah.
strength came from the suit.
Okay, that was my complaint, because I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, why? He just grabbed that, that bed. Well, it's not really a bed. It's like a, what do they call that? I don't know.
Gurney or
Gurney, yeah, like something like that. When you have like a doctor's appointment, you're sitting on, the table.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what to
Yeah,
call that.
we know what we're talking about, right? But he
Yes.
just pucks it through the window. But then again, it could have been something where his body is just like overheating and he's freaking out, where he just got that.
He got the
freaking-
adrenaline dump.
Yes. He just got that strength and said, fuck it. I could do anything, and he just chucks it through there, which it worked, it worked. It got him out of there. And then he just goes running out in his underwear, and it's cold, it's whatever. And he's just like, thank God.
I think he was sweating at 34 degrees.
Yes.
And then she cranked it up to like 91 Fahrenheit. And it's just like, oh dear God. I mean, 91
just
makes
like
me
women
cook.
always turning up the heat. Am I right, gentlemen? God damn. Zing. Sorry.
I am not misogynistic, but I endorse this quote.
Just a joke.
I know what
yeah, anyways, clip that. Anyways, all right.
Yeah.
But,
like my wife who turns on the electric blanket and then turns the ceiling fan on at the same time.
What do you want? Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you're just like, Jesus Christ. You're like in your underwear with a leg out. Jesus. It's hot. Oh, but anyways, so he does that, and then of course, he escapes, he gets away, and then of course, Terry is watching the building, and Bruce already knows, like, oh, he's probably going to return. Like, revenge is this dude's game.
Yes,
it's totally his game, and yeah, as he should. He knew, he knows exactly what was going on. I mean, Bruce was always ahead. He was always ahead. He didn't
trust.
Yeah,
he is purely cynical in his older age at this point. There is no glimmer of hope left in this man.
No, he knows what he's been through. He knows that. Oh yeah, but he's right, because obviously we got Powers and Stephanie talking and everything when it comes to Victor, and then all of a sudden the building starts to rumble, and then pieces of ice just start tearing through the building, and they're trying to get away, and and then we get this really cool reveal of just him, just
the new suit. Oh, that new suit.
Oh my God.
It's funny, because this did come out before the Batman came out. The way they redesigned Mr. Freeze for the Batman reminds me a lot of this Mr. Freeze Beyond concept.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Well, especially the part where he no longer has a separate freeze gun.
It's just an arm. Yeah.
It's built into his suit. So he holds out his fists, and the freeze rays just come, ice beams, freeze rays, whatever you want to call them, shoot out of his gauntlets, essentially. And I just think it's super cool. It's
an upgrade. I mean, especially if it's the future. I mean, come on, you're gonna have to do that. I mean, as much as
like you said, it was in cold storage.
Yes, that's what he said.
But what I do love is how this is a super moment. He's being super dark. There is something really, they can use an ice pun, and it doesn't come off like Schwarzenegger and Batman and Robin. Like, say, it was in. No, Michael and Sarah is like, I kept it in cold storage, and you're just kind of like,
yep,
cool, yep, yep. Yep.
Totally love that.
You made a cold pun, and it's not cheesy.
It's a good cold pun right there, because I mean, yeah, cold storage, yeah, perfectly works for me. But yeah, so obviously he's just wreaking havoc, and then of course, Freeze's powers,
thinking he's killed him, because
Yeah.
if Powers was just a normal human,
he would be dead.
He would be dead. But notice something. So he freezes Powers, who we know is going to survive because he's Blight.
Yeah.
And we see it happen. He freezes Stephanie, and they cut to outside the building, and we just see the flashing blue light, because he did just murder her. Like straight up murder her by freezing her alive.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like, and maybe it's maybe this is one of those standards and practices thing. We can watch him freeze someone because we know this person is actually going to survive it. But we don't watch him freeze the person that is clear, oh no, they be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no surviving that. Yeah, no, that probably was. I mean, crafty, that's if that's the way you're going to do it. But yes, naturally, we do see Powers just in his little ice block, just kind of he just breaks out of literally his skin and the ice block. And it's like, yep, yeah, of course, that's what's going to happen. But then, of course, Freeze is just like, you know what? Fuck this place, fuck everything. I'm not going to go back into being like a headless dude and everything, and just sitting in, in some kind of, again, cold storage, literally. And he's just going to tear the place
put on ice again.
Not going to be put on ice again. And I think this is a good spot to.
Oh yes.
Yeah, a good spot to join the scene
action.
right here when he's yes. So there he is right there. And I love the shadow of right there.
Oh, well, this is where you go and you say, okay, the Mike Mignola redesign of Mr. Freeze for when we saw that first shot of the head, I was like, if that didn't look like Mike Mignola art, I don't know what would.
You know what's funny about this scene right here? This reminds me of Arkham City. I don't know if you played Arkham City, but when you have to go against Mr. Freeze in a laboratory, it's
the boss
like
fight. The Freeze boss fight in Arkham City. This is totally it.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. And then, of course, he gets.
You had your chance.
So did you.
Oh, and then we get the battle of the villains.
Yeah, you feel it, don't you? Right through your suit. The heat is on.
The heat is on. Of course, they did say that in Batman and Robin. George Clooney did say that.
Video link. What's going on?
And coolest way that a villain comes up with his name.
Right.
And everything I touch shall wither and die.
Which is interesting that he is not quoting something actually. He's actually reinterpreting a Bible verse when he says that.
And on the couch.
Oh. Terry, there's something hot in that room.
No shit.
And then he's sizzling right there. Ah,
I know.
He's got a plan.
Exactly.
This guy, he's like a walking meltdown.
Oh, there's the title.
There it is.
Some protection,
he said it.
But it's not designed for such high levels of radiation.
Ah. God, I love it when he.
Oh God, that.
Yeah. Really, just fucking him up, man.
I know, right?
You only got a tan that time.
I love that.
What? Knocked him right through the building outside. There you go. Perfect. Right into the ice. Right into the ice pond or lake, whatever.
And then once again, here's Freeze being a good guy. He beats the actual villain of the episode, and he tells Batman,
"You gotta get out of here, Freeze.
Go away.
Gonna go.
Save yourself." I want to die. And he even stops.
Yeah. Well, and then it sucks because like Terry knows that he's good.
Terry, get out of there
Yes.
now!
You know, I mean, look at that. The eye stuff.
No.
But even Bruce is like, dude, don't do it. Just go. Just get out of there. You know?
Yeah, it's
And then the whole building goes
comes down.
Oh,
Yep.
quite the finish.
So, by the way, I wanted to let you know because I was really curious. I think that's a great line that Powers has. You know, behold, I'm a blight upon the
Mhm.
land, and everything I touch will wither and die. I was like, okay, that's got to be from something. And no, that's actually an original line, but it is based on 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 7, where Isaiah quotes the Lord, who says, behold, I will send a blight upon him, and he shall hear a rumor and shall return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land.
Ooh, that's a good line.
That's a good line. But then the way he changes it, because now Powers is the blight. But it's but it also kind of speaks to Powers' megalomania that he would be quoting a Bible verse that is someone quoting God. Like this is what God said. And then he then takes on that role of speaking the words that are supposed to be spoken by God. I'm just like, dude, you are so far up your own ass.
He really is. I mean, come on. I mean, he's got his last name's Powers, for God's sakes.
I know, right?
But yeah, of course that all, you know, and then of course Powers goes back. He gets a little ship that just shows up and
they have a blanket for him in case he's cold.
Yeah, I know, that was funny. And he goes, "You guys are idiots." Like, what the fuck? It's like, come on. I mean, do you not know this? I mean, yeah, he just like he's like, what the hell? And then of course you have Bruce and Terry that just kind of talk. And yeah, Terry just kind of goes like, I mean, he's sad about what happened. He's sad. Yeah. He's really just kind of like, you know, after
Terry's still human.
Terry's still human, but at the same time, it's just like he's so new to all this. And I think deep down, probably Bruce is like, you know, I get it, man, but hey, this is
Bruce
the gig.
gives him credit. Bruce gives him credit for like, no, you were right about Victor.
Yeah.
You know, Victor was
both were right. He basically was like, we're both right, you know?
Yes.
So he's like, he's giving him credit. It's like, yeah, I was right because I knew this was a shitty situation and he was going to get fucked over. And sure enough, he did. And then I know when Victor gets fucked over, he's going to come back with a, you know,
icy vengeance.
A cold dish, best served cold. What is best served cold? Revenge.
Revenge is a dish, best served cold. Ancient Klingon proverb.
There it is. So, but then at the same time, he understood that Terry was like, man, this guy seemed like he had like a little bit of a heart of gold and didn't want to be this. And he's like, yeah, you were right. I was right. Let's just leave it at that. It's part of the gig, man. It's part of the gig.
It sucks. And
it sucks.
Part of the gig.
Yeah. And there you go. That's Meltdown right there. Our reappearance of Mr. Freeze, which is, you know what? Again, like I think what our grievances is when it comes to this episode is the fact that it just moves so quick.
Neck pace.
Yeah. Way too quickly. But I think that little final battle right there was pretty cool. And it showed like, okay, yeah, Blight. We got the name, we got that showdown, and it showed that Victor was like, oh, fuck this guy. And he was like, you know, went up against him and essentially defeated him in a way, but not fully defeated him. But at the same time, you know, he did defeat him in the fact that, well, he's not going to get the whole experiment of getting a new body and all this stuff not going to work out for him because he was very much going, oh, this could be something where, hey, I can get rid of this whole thing. But no, he's still got to live with what has happened to him.
But
and good.
What's going to be interesting going forward is that now that he's, I would, watching it again from this perspective, it'll be interesting to see if, because he just has to now embrace Powers has to embrace being Blight,
Yeah.
and how much he now, like, now instead of it being this thing I need to get rid of, how can I like use it? How
Yeah.
can I harness it? Because he just took on Mr. Freeze and Batman. So
So now
you
now it's like, okay, I actually probably need this with all
Mhm.
my, yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but there it is, guys. Meltdown. What do we got next week?
Well, nothing, because I'm going to be on vacation.
Oh, that's
So,
right. You're gonna be on vacation next week. That's right.
yes, guys,
Okay.
you gotta understand. You gotta understand. I have not gone away on a vacation since Thanksgiving of 2023. That's the last time that when I took PTO from work, I actually
It's been over a year, folks.
it's been like a year and a half.
Yeah.
I am going away to the mountains for a week. See y'all's later. Like, it's just it's one of those things. So we are taking next week off for DC Fan-imated. So we will return on April 2nd, Wednesday, April 2nd. And we will be coming back to the present day in Metropolis.
Oh, we're back to Metropolis.
We're back to Metropolis for the episode Superman's Pal.
Superman's pal. Is that pal a little doggy?
No,
No,
who's
it's
Superman's
not. I know
pal?
it's Jimmy.
Jimmy. It's a Jimmy
Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just because all the crypto talk, I was like, hey man, but with all the new Superman stuff. Now, of course, it's going to be a Jimmy episode, and I think I kind of remember this one. I don't know. I don't know.
I remember something. I remember a significant trope in the Superman mythos that gets introduced in this episode. What actually happens in the episode? Fuzzy. It's one of those things that's like, there's one element of the episode is crystal clear in my mind. Everything else is kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I had that on an episode of one time that I was like, I remember specifically. I forgot what it was. I think it was a Batman episode, but
It was
yeah,
a Batman episode. I don't remember what it was, but I think we all were, because I think we had a conversation like, really, that's the thing that stuck out?
Yeah. Because I was like, for some reason, this stuck out for me for this episode that I only really remembered. But yeah, it's always funny when that happens. But there you go, guys. Like I said, like we said, next week we'll be off. And we'll return, of course, next month. So see you next month when it comes to DC Fan-imated. And yeah, we'll be back in Metropolis with Superman's pal, good old Jimmy Olsen. And we'll have fun talking with that. And yeah, Scott, have a good vacation. You need it. You need it. Yes. Yeah, should be good. All right, guys. We appreciate you. Do you have anything you want to promote besides?
I do actually this week.
Oh, he's got something.
I do. I want you to take. I hope everyone. Yeah, I'm not sure. You would think you guys would know by now, but I have a Letterboxd account, and when something, and it's my Twitter handle, X handle, ScottDC27. You can also just look up my name, but when I find something that just really speaks to me.
Yes.
That is
exactly what you're gonna say right now.
That is when I write a review, and I don't just write like one or two lines. Like, no, I actually take the time to write out a review. I think the last time I did this was when Ripley debuted on Netflix, and it was just paragraphs. But I saw Black Bag last weekend, and that movie is easily the best movie I've seen this year so far. I mean, there is no question that Black Bag is my favorite movie of 2025 up to this point.
Yeah.
And I wrote a review. So I want y'all to check out my Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd if you don't already follow me. I'd love for you to read my review. And then I want you to get your butt to the theater and go see
watch it. Please.
It is an amazing movie. It is amazing.
It is a 90-minute movie. Doesn't fuck around. Straight to the point.
Doesn't feel fast.
Nope.
It is the perfect example of it is a movie that is just as long as it needs to be.
It totally, yes. and you're going to have some great acting. First off, Fassbender, Blanchett, so good. Everybody's good. Everybody's good.
Brosnan, like
And
the
if you
cast
like
is like
Steve
5 people.
Soderbergh, it is Steven Soderbergh at his best.
It's Soderbergh being Soderbergh, like every auteur that it's
Yeah.
like you could pause a frame and I could just look at a
So-
frame and go,
dude.
Soderbergh directed that. Like I
Dude.
could just
the dinner table when he had this angle at I think it was the second dinner table.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way that he angled it, he had the 2 different angles, like opposite angles, and the way that the there was lights on the table just looks so cool. I'm like, God damn. There's a lot of frames. There's so many frames. You could pick a frame and
but it's just like, you could just you pick a frame and you go, yeah, this is the same guy who directed the Ocean's movies. Like,
oh, dude, you even hear that with the fucking score too.
It's the same composer, David Holmes.
Oh, well, there you go. Did not know that. I was like going, oh, God damn, you hear that Oceans type of score. But I mean, everything moves so. Yeah, I think I'm with you. It might be my favorite movie of the year, too. Is go see it, people. I'm just saying, like, if you want a movie that's like going, okay.
And it's original. It's not based on anything.
No.
It's an original screenplay.
You like spy type of stuff,
right? No,
and it's not like,
as Meg said, it's a Scott movie. And
yeah, she totally nailed that. I should have chimed in when you were talking about that because I was like, yeah, you're gonna like this movie for sure.
Oh, I didn't just like this movie. I
loved it. Yeah,
loved this movie.
Well, because it's kind of like it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I kind of thought about that too, but at the same time, I'm like, well, they're not assassins. It's not like they don't know there's.
And see, for me, I was thinking more like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Well, stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it's like, you're like, do I trust this person? Do I, I mean, right off the bat, it's like he's given this, hey, some shit's going down, and it's this crew right here.
And it's like immediately first scene, like
first scene, and then it's like, hey, your wife's also part of it. So hey. And then it's just, even that opening scene is just beautifully shot because there's like a nice little one shot, and Fassbender and what he does and what his job is to just read people and put them up to a polygraph and just to try to just, oh man, I mean,
and it is sexy without even trying. Like, it doesn't try. It just is.
Yeah, and there's some crazy stuff that happens with it. I don't know.
Just
go see the movie, everybody.
The movie.
It's just you won't even. Again, it's a 90-minute movie. I remember when I saw my dad, I was like, "How long is this movie?" I'm like, "It's like 90 minutes. It's like it's gonna be just a quick movie," and it doesn't feel like a quick movie because it's one of those where it's like you don't feel the runtime. You go, "Wait, that was only 90 minutes." I was so engaged with what was happening. Start to finish. Yeah.
So go see the movie.
Yes.
Follow me on Letterboxd. Read my review. Go in there, check out my other reviews.
Yeah.
It's I really like Letterboxd. It's kind of it's like the perfect social media platform for me because it's just, here's a movie here's where I just log all my movies. I rate them, and if I really love them, I write a review. And the longer the review, the more I loved it. That's the way it goes.
Nice. Yeah, I just never jumped on Letterboxd. I don't know. I think it's because I do so many other things.
Well, and you know what? And I also used it as an opportunity back with DC Squadcast, is that I would just hyperlink to the episodes, like in the review.
Makes sense. I have to think about that. All right. But yeah, guys, go watch Black Bag. Please support original things out there, please. And then, of course, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks when it comes to DC Fan-imated. And hit that like, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Look forward to my first reaction of Snow White tomorrow. That's right, guys. I am going by myself to a movie theater that I have never been to because I live in a new spot, and the movie theater that is in my town did not really like it when I went and saw The Monkey, which I did enjoy. But I'm like going, yeah, that movie theater sucked. And I'm going to go to a different one that's in the next town over, about 20 minutes away. It's a newish movie theater, so we'll see. I'm going to go see Snow White by myself. Oh, my God. I was like, Dad, you don't want to see this one? No, of course they didn't want to see this one. Dad, brother, nope, don't want to see that one. I got it. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because this is what I do. And I know it's the movie, and I've been talking about all the controversy and all this stuff, and my best friend Rachel Zegler's in it. All right. The fun police is showing up. Anyways, guys, we love you. We'll see you in 2 weeks on here back in Metropolis, and we will talk to you later.